think there's so much more room. There we go. And I think we're live. Are we live? Let me see.
Yes,
Yep,
ma'am.
looks like we're live. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to once again to our Spirit World Sees All, which it does actually. I know that it's just a phrase, the Spirit World sees all, but the truth of the matter is it really does see all. So this morning we're going to say hello to my spirit guide Gregor, who is to my right side. We're going to say hello to Katura, but he's snuggled right tight in his favourite corner of the living room, so we can't see him. But we do have our lovely Michelle. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
She's sitting on the floor again, as you might know. It's her favourite place. Let me tell you, it's just her favourite place to be. I think that we've had so many emails about the story that I told yesterday. If you haven't heard it, you must go listen to it. You'll find it on Facebook and on YouTube. Did you download it and upload it? Hello, my darling.
It is on YouTube and it is on Facebook,
Here's
but
my
I did
boy.
not reshare it on Facebook from YouTube.
Here's my boy. He is with us now on the sofa. Does not want to be seen. He's just going to go back to sleep. He must have suddenly realised that we were on TV, and he might come and sit on my knee later on with a little bit of coaxing. You never know. So, what was I saying? So we had lots of people commenting on the story and saying how inspirational the story was. So I'm really glad that I told you that story. And as I did say, if you would like to know more of that story, or in fact other stories, either stories of healing or stories of people who come to me and have consultations with me, you will find those stories in all of my books. You can find it in my new book, which is A Walk in the Clouds, and you can find it in my classic, The Eagle and the Rose, which after 20 something years, let me see, it was published in 1996, so that makes it 23 years old, I think. 23 years. Oh, golly. 23 years since I was on the Larry King show promoting the book. 23 years since I talked to Larry King's mother. 23 years since I toured all over the world, went all around the world for the very first time, and then in those 23 years, I've toured all around the world again and again and again. I've had a super fabulous life, but most importantly with that book, with The Eagle and the Rose, it has inspired thousands of people all over the world. It has inspired people, it has helped people, it has given people hope and encouragement that we don't die and that there really is a life after death. And also it illustrates over and over and over again, it illustrates that the spirit world really does see all. It really does see everything. So what have I been doing this week? Let me think. Oh, I know what I did. I decided I was not going to give Michelle a Christmas present in the ordinary way of things because
I complained all week.
Because she has been moaning and groaning and complaining for what, 2 weeks now or 3 weeks? Every time I fetch out my Christmas cake to feed it, which I do once a week, and it happens that sometimes she's here to watch me do it, every time I take the cake out, of course, when you unwrap it, and it smells amazing, I have to say, and you unwrap it, it's all wrapped very in 4 layers of parchment paper and 4 layers of foil, and then it's put into an airtight container because I want to keep it as moist and as free from the air to dry it out as I possibly can. So you're unwrapping. Every week I have to unwrap my Christmas cake in order to feed it. So I'm unwrapping it and as the layers of foil and parchment paper fall away, the smell of the cake gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And every time she moans, she complains, she grumbles, she's made it really plain. Well, it's all very well, it's all very nice, and yeah, thank you very much, but I'm not going to get any of it, am I? You're going to eat it all up. So even when I promised her that I would keep a slice and bring it back from New York to Florida, especially for us, it wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. Now, am I exaggerating, Michelle?
Maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. I moaned every time you open the Christmas cake as she comes over and says, "Smell this, smell this." No, I'm not getting any of it. I don't want to smell it.
But the thing is, you say you moaned once, but you didn't.
No, I moaned every day. Every day you opened it.
Anyway, so I decided that the best Christmas gift that I could give Michelle would be my Christmas cake. So yesterday her girls came over, we stirred, and as is a very traditional thing, this is a Victorian recipe. When you stir the cake, you must make a wish. Now, when I made my cake, Michelle was here, and I think the girls were here as well.
I think Dustin was here too.
And yes, your husband was here too. And they all had a stir of the cake, because anybody who's in the house gets to stir the cake and make a wish. I'm not sure what Michelle's wish is, and even if I did know, we wouldn't tell you on air, but she tells me that when she made that wish a few weeks ago, when I made my Christmas cake, her wish is already coming true. Didn't you say that, Michelle? So,
yes, ma'am.
You know, wishes can work. So yesterday, I had Gwendolyn, Michelle's darling little smiling face little girl. She's lovely. She's really lovely. How old is she? Is she 12?
She's 11.
She's 11.
She's big for
And
11.
she's lovely. And so she put in the cherries. We put in extra cherries because Michelle likes cherries. I'm not sure I did the right thing there, but we did put in a lot of extra cherries anyway. And I made this Christmas cake, and this morning, before she even got here, because I'm not listening to the moaning and complaining again, I fed the cake with brandy and wrapped it all up, and it's now in its container, and every week I shall do that. And when we're going to decorate it, we might actually, are you at all interested in what I'm saying here, any of you? We might actually
Dean said to add extra brandy.
No, thank you. Dean's must have been like a pudding. Dean made the cake last year, and he kept telling me put twice as much brandy in, which it's all right, except it would make it very soggy. You know, Dean, tell us, did you enjoy the cake? Because I never actually heard whether you enjoyed it or not. So let us know if you're going to be commenting. We're not putting in extra brandy. This is my cake. I'm making it for Michelle. She does not decide how much brandy goes in there. Plus, she's got 2 teenage girls, or almost teenage girls.
1 teen, 1 almost teen.
Who are going to eat this cake. So no extra brandy in there. But we may well, as we decorate this particular cake, I think we're just going to decorate it with marzipan this time. No icing on the top, but we might make a little bit of a go with some pretty things made out of marzipan that go on the Christmas cake. Do anything with a Christmas cake anyway. So we're going to do that. Maybe we'll have that in Rosemary's kitchen. We'll film it. Maybe Michelle can film it, and the girls can help me to decorate the cake with marzipan. I have to experiment. I'm not sure if I can paint marzipan with food colouring, but I don't. Oh, well, actually, I've painted with fruit, so yes, I actually can. So maybe we should paint the marzipan and maybe put pretty You never know what we're going to do, but anyway, that's to come. I shall stop now talking about rabbiting on about cakes and Christmas and all of that stuff, but I'm excited that it's Christmas. My grandson is so excited that it's Christmas, and we're already making this Christmas list. So it's a very exciting time, sort of coming up very soon. Now, let's get all of that out of the way. I want to know how all of you are. Do we have any questions coming up yet? Because you know you can ask me any questions you like. We'll do our very best to answer them. If they're not appropriate questions, of course, we shall completely ignore them, or I shall say to you that's not appropriate and I'm not answering that question. So, however, before we get to questions, I'd like to talk about something that happened yesterday. We had a lady on the show yesterday who told us about the fact that she and her puppy were sick. And so we put her on the healing list, and of course we sent her healing, and we're going to be sending her healing every day. That's what she asked for. That's what we are doing. Now, I'm going to explain to you what happened next. Talking of inappropriate, when you come on the show, when you're asking questions, of course, you put your information. I think do people's emails or names or something come up?
Their names come up. We were on the Facebook healing one, so
we're on the Facebook page.
you
So it's
click on
different.
their
It's
little
different with
picture of it,
YouTube, I think,
pulls it,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's different with this show.
yes.
But on the Facebook show, other people can see who you are. They can see your email address and so on.
Not
so
email address, profile.
Oh, sorry. I see. So they can click on your profile, right? Having clicked on your profile, then they can find out lots of information about you, and they can also contact you, I think, as
Through
well.
Messenger.
Through Messenger, I see. So it's not as private as we'd necessarily like it to be. The YouTube channel, you can't do that. There's no way that other people can get to you through your coming to this show. But a lady actually contacted the person who said she was sick and that her puppy was sick, wanting to give her some psychic advice. Would that be correct in saying that, Michelle?
That was how it was portrayed to me.
Okay, so now I do understand all of you out there and listening to stories and listening to people talking about their situations, and some of them are sad and so on and so forth, and I do know and I do understand that there are so many of you out there who simply want to help. You just want to be nice, you want to help, you want to give a little, perhaps you think you're capable of giving advice. However, the number one rule of any responsible, real spiritual medium, healer, whatever, let's use the word psychic if you must, any real responsible person, the rule is you never approach anyone else. You allow people to approach you, but you do not ever approach them. It is not professional, and it can cause a lot of damage. It can cause a lot of upset, and it's a bit like walking into someone's house uninvited, except that you know personal details about that person. So you go in armed with the personal details, and who asked you anyway? So this is what happened to this lady who wrote an email to tell us what had happened. I get, if you're out there and you're listening, I get that your intention was probably good. I get that you wanted to help. I understand all of that. But do not use this forum for your own ends and your own means, please. It is not appropriate. And for those of you out there who do go on Facebook and have had these problems, please, if you have these issues again, please let us know. Email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Let us know, because if somebody does this, I'm afraid, as good as their intentions may be, we shall block you. Because I'm not going to have you using information that you find on my shows for you to open somebody's door without an invitation. So please don't do it. It is not appropriate. The lady who wrote to us and told us this said that she found it extremely upsetting. It made her very nervous. And again, I'm sure that the intentions of the person who did this were good. If you were a student of mine, I'd kick you out for it. You don't do that. You do not enter someone's house. You do not enter someone's heart. You do not go barging in on somebody else's personal and private stuff unless you are invited. When somebody comes on this show and asks a question, as I'm hoping you're all going to be doing in a minute, I'm sorry I feel like giving you all a lecture, and I don't mean that, but I just am very concerned that people are going to be protected and they're going to be cared for and they're not going to be invaded. When you come on this show, it's a private thing. We don't share your information with anyone unless we ask your permission to do so. You have noticed that I haven't mentioned the lady's name who had this issue, who had this problem. It's a private thing. We do our best to keep that privacy. And it's happened before when I've been doing workshops and people in workshops and they get carried away. And I had a lovely lady who lost her daughter, and at the end of the first day of the conference, she was approached by 2 or 3 people handing her business cards. I'm a psychic and I'm a psychic, and why don't you talk to me, and you call me, and so on. She ended up actually talking to someone, and it nearly broke up her marriage. That story is also in one of my books. You do not go uninvited into someone's life. So please have a care, have a thought. It's not about you. As much as you may want to help, then help by sending prayers. Help by putting this person in your healing book. Help in an anonymous way. Please do not do that again. And as I've said, if it happens and I find out who that person is, now I've pointed it out to you. As much as you have good intentions, I will not have it. We're done now. Do you think I've made my point here? My concern is for the lady who was very, very upset and who may not even approach me now because she may feel that she's afraid to do so. So, so please think twice before you act. All right. Questions, information, comments? What have we got out there?
Okay. So Dean says he enjoyed his cake immensely, but he actually is our first question of the day too.
Okay, go for it, Dean.
He asks, does a loved one come to us when we think about them, even if they are busy?
Well, not always, or not in that moment, but thanks, Dean, and good morning, by the way. When we think of people in the spirit world, thoughts are living things. Tiny thought is a tiny pulse of energy which goes out into the universe and reaches that person who we are having that thought of and that thought about. Thoughts are the most powerful things. And so the person who we are thinking about certainly will hear our thoughts. Certainly those thoughts, that energy, our energy will reach that person. If they're busy doing something else, they're not going to drop everything just to come and say hello to us, are they? But they will at some point connect in with us in one way or another, either through their thoughts, or they may even decide to make a journey to come and see us, whichever way they feel is appropriate. And different people have different ways of doing things. It's a bit like, when we say, I really must go and see so-and-so, but I'm too tired, or I'm exhausted, or my car broke down or something, I'll give them a call instead. So people in the spirit world, they approach things very differently. Each person approaches things in a different way, but it will register with them that you are thinking of them, and they will hear your thoughts, and they will at some point, I'm sure, come see what's going on or what it's about. Let's have another question or a comment, Michelle.
Harish was on this morning.
Who?
Harish.
Good morning, Harish.
Harish,
I think.
Harish.
I don't know. Let's go for it anyway. Harish, good morning.
He said, you have been my guardian angel guiding me through my grief.
Oh.
His question is, how can we unite with our loved ones when they are already fulfilling their journey as a soul in some other life?
How can we what? How can we contact them?
How can we unite with our loved ones?
Unite with them. Okay, so we unite through our energy, darling. We unite through our thoughts. We connect with each other. If we spend that 5 or 10 minutes of every day just saying, hi, I'm just here for you. I don't want anything. I'm just here for you. They hear that. They connect with that, and they they will unite with you in those moments. And of course, when it's your turn to leave this earth, and you can't go before it is your time, but when it is your time to go, those people will be there, and then there will be a reuniting of the two of you. But uniting on a you can, unite on a daily basis. When I make my Christmas cake, I unite with my daddy. I send out my thoughts, especially this week because it was um, whatever that was. It was Remembrance Sunday, and the 11th, of course, was Remembrance Day. And so when you think of someone, when you connect with them, when you send your energy out to them, and they then they return that energy, they return those thoughts, they're thinking of you too. And that's, so that's when you know that you are uniting with them on a daily basis. I hope that answers the question. Let's have another one.
The next question is
yes,
from Matthew.
Morning, Matthew.
Actually, no, I lied. The next question is from Kevin. Kevin said,
Good morning, Kevin.
Will you share about how you amazed Larry King on his show regarding his mother?
Well, you can go on YouTube and you can find that video. Of course, the most popular video that you will find with myself and Larry King is the one with James Randi, where he is so arrogant and know-it-all. And people still comment about that. And the people who are the naysayers love that show because they think that he's, sort of proving a point that life after death is not real or something, all the time a fake, and so on. They love that show. They really get in on that. But actually, if you watch it and you listen carefully, poor Randy does come off the worse for wear. And I have to say that Larry King is absolutely thrilled about the whole thing. But I'm trying to think. You would probably find, I'm going to say that the Larry King show would be somewhere around 1996 or 7 or 8 or thereabouts, because that's the first time the book was being promoted. It was published in 96, so you probably find that Larry King show in 96 or 97-ish. Larry had me on for half an hour. It was the first time I think that he'd ever had someone like myself on his show. So he only gave me a half an hour because he thought, well, he was doing it really to help to promote the book. So he's doing it not realizing the massive response that he would get. So on that show, he was asking me different things, and you really should, just go to YouTube and find it and watch it, because however I tell it to you, Kevin, it's much more interesting if you see it. But as I was talking to him, he was asking me questions about how this stuff worked, and we did have some phone calls from viewers as well, and I was able to answer those phone calls in a way that I think Larry found surprising, unexpected, but he was very pleased by it. But at that time, I actually saw his mother standing next to him, and I gave him a message from his mother, and my intention was not to make him cry, but if you look closely, you can see that he does get a little bit emotional. I was traveling to Australia a couple of months after that, and the headlines in Australia, because the Larry King show went all over the world, as I got to, when I got to Australia, the headlines were promoting me, the newspapers were promoting me, the TV people, there was lots of hype for the fact that I was coming, because apparently they said in headlines, the only woman to make Larry King cry on air. I don't know if that's true, but you can go and find that show, and you should, if you're interested, Kevin, you can find the show on all the Larry King shows. I've done several of those, the Lisa Gibbons show, the Maury Povich show, and on it goes. I'm trying to think who else, but anyway, you can go on YouTube and just type in my name and put Lisa Gibbons, or you can and Lisa is spelled Leeza, So you can, you can find all those shows on YouTube, and they're fascinating. They're really fascinating to watch. Of course, I'm younger and prettier, but what can I say? We all have to grow old. Sometime I'm hoping I'm growing old gracefully. Let's have our next. Shall we have our
Okay, the next one is from
comment?
Matthew.
Yeah. Hi, Matthew.
He's, I'm still seeing my dead dogs, and I'm absolutely blessed to be able to.
Lovely.
My friends and family can't believe their eyes. They even manifest and play with toys on camera.
Wow. Wow, Matthew. Oh, I'd like to see. Can you maybe you could send me a little clip? I'd love to see that. But yes, our puppies, our animals do come to us. They draw close to us. And even as I'm talking to you, I'm getting sort of a little bit shivers because I've got my darling Nino in my sights as I'm talking to you. How interesting is that? All right, let's and Rosie apparently. Let's before we get too emotional about these things, because I have to tell you that when I see my puppies, I do get a bit. You know how you get a longing for something that is beautiful and joyful and so on. Let's move on, shall we? Quick. Let's have a question or a comment. Sorry.
Nettie wants to know if you still
Morning,
see
Nettie.
Wendy in the spirit world.
Yes. Yes, I told the story of Wendy yesterday. Not often, but certainly, you know, the meditation CD that she inspired, the meditation is so beautiful. I can remember sitting in my kitchen. I think I told this story yesterday. I remember sitting in the kitchen with a tape recorder playing with a tape in playing music, and then me with a tape recorder recording over the music so that I could give Wendy a really inspirational meditation for her to use. And I use that same meditation. It's now, of course, we call it now a journey towards healing, which it was a journey for Wendy, and it certainly has been a journey for me. A journey towards healing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. In fact, the 4 CDs, meditation CDs that I do have are really lovely. They all have been inspired by Grey Eagle, and they, you know, it's so gratifying to me that people get so much from these things, and they really do get so much help and inspiration by listening to these things. Right, let's have another question or comment. You all right? Don't get stuck on the floor, Michelle, please.
Yeah, I'm not stuck on the floor. I wanted to make sure, because we're expecting a package today. I just wanted to make sure he wasn't walking to the door.
Okay, right. It
Lori,
is a live show, everyone. We do have these interruptions. Yes.
Lori had said that she had to call the police on somebody who was harassing her like that. That turns out they were from another country.
Oh.
Maggie, which I just did a message to Maggie because I'm trying to figure out who
about you, Maggie,
about.
this morning. Oh boy, do I need to tell you some stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
She put in, he isn't eating, he's drinking a bit of water, he cuddles and then goes and hides. And she wants to know if there's any words for help from you or her family. But I'm not really sure who he is. So let's see if she's responded to me. Not yet. Maybe a puppy?
It sounds like.
Or a kid. It's one of the two.
I hope it's not the child, because if this the child going and hiding, then we need to. Are you sure it's Maggie we're talking to?
It's Maggie.
Like, no, just wondering. You know, holding our pets, giving them healing, using the healing meditation that we do on a Wednesday. I'm not sure, Maggie, if you saw that or if you were around for that, but go to the YouTube channel or Facebook and you'll find it there. What's it called? What do we call it? Hands Around the World, right?
Healing Hands. Healing
Hands Around the World. And if you go and find that and then sit with, we're assuming it's a puppy, we're not sure, but anyway.
She said to look at her post from above that, but
okay, it's not.
I don't have anything there. All I've got is that she.
You have to understand.
Oh, it's her kitty cat.
Oh, a kitty. Then just if she's got a meditation tape of some kind, play that. Just play it around the house. That will help because it brings in good energy. It brings in positive energy. Or play the video because that brings in good and hopeful and helpful energy too. Maybe next week we'll play a little tiny bit of the Journey Towards Healing. We'll let you hear how it sounds and how the music sounds because the music is just incredible. And there's also another story about how the music evolved too. But anyway, let's, how are we doing? Let's have another one, shall we?
We have Deborah on.
Okay, morning, Deborah.
And she said, my 30-year-old son, Sante, has not been feeling well for years with no diagnosis. Can you see what may be going on?
I think we'd have to have more time. If you'd like to email me, darling, and give me a little bit more information, email me rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and we'll see, you know, if you can give me a little bit more information about what's going on with him, and we'll certainly take a look. And I'm not promising I can help, but we can certainly take a look and see what's going on if we can. Let's have a next question.
Mary is on, and she
Morning,
says
Mary.
she would love to hear any advice from Grey Eagle.
I'm laughing because he put his hand on my shoulder. So here you go. Be joyful and be happy. And Mary. Well, this is a bit tough. I don't even know what's going on. He didn't even ask advice about what. You've got a lot of stuff around you. You've got a lot of negativity around you. I will take that back. You've got a lot of toxic energy around you. So you've got people around you who are perhaps using you, abusing you, or you're allowing that toxicity to invade your life. So use your aura, use your energy, build your aura to a point where you bring in light and sunshine. And we're doing this in class. I'm teaching my students how to do this. I will be helping people to do this when we are getting together with our, what is it called? Our conference calls.
Webinars.
Our webinars. I should be teaching people how to bring that energy into themselves, how to create a positive aura, but thinking about it, bring in joy. And Mary, get rid of the toxic negativity that does seem to surround you from time to time. That's Grey Eagle. That's what he's saying to you. There you are. I don't know if you understand that, but you should. And hopefully you'll do just that. No good asking for advice if you're not prepared to take it. Next question or comment, Michelle. How are we doing?
We're good. Vera is on.
Good morning, Vera.
And she would like to know, why is there some spirits that don't know that they're dead? Ghost hunters have asked them through Ghost Box, and some spirits think that we are the ghosts and that it is them that is alive.
Not quite sure what you've been listening to, Vera, or who you've been talking to here. I know that occasionally it happens, and when you call them spirits, and I'm going to call them people, as I always do, spiritual beings who are living not of this world, but still people. Some people have a hard time understanding what's happened to them. Some people are holding on, trying to hold on to what they knew, what they have, because of fear of the unknown, fear of letting go of their humanness, fear of letting go of their loved ones here on this earth place, and so on. However, let me be clear, they're not on their own. They're angels, they're guardians. There are people there who can help them and who can guide them. This is a rare occurrence, and you need to be very careful who it is that you're listening to. You need to be very careful about the information that you're gathering, and you need to be, I think, a little bit more skeptical, a little bit more critical when people tell you these things, because for some reason or another, I feel that you're getting some incorrect information. Let's have our next question.
Twiggy is on.
Morning, Twiggy. How's
And
the Christmas cake going?
she hasn't started yet. She said that's this weekend.
Get on with it.
Um,
You've got to feed it. Christmas is coming. It is upon us.
She says, are our loved ones talking to you a lot during your online class, or is it just Gray Eagle who helps out during the class?
Well, it can be both. It can be both, Twiggy. It can be that I might from time to time through the class see someone connected to one of my students, but that is not the role that I play. I'm a teacher. I'm with Grey Eagle. I'm being inspired by Grey Eagle. I'm also in my own right. He laughs at me. It's not that it. Okay, Grey Eagle inspires me, but I do have thoughts of my own as well. Just somebody actually once said to me years ago, "Oh," she said, I love Grey Eagle's sense of humour." And I was a bit puzzled. I said, "You do?" So she said, "Oh yes, the things that he says through you." And I wanted to say, hold on a minute, because that's me. So, although he inspires me and I do repeat a lot of what he says, and I do talk about a lot of what he says, I also am an individual as well. So the teaching that Grey Eagle and I do, we do it together. And of course I've learned a great deal from him. So Grey Eagle and I are in those circumstances, we are the tutors, we are your teachers, and we try to inspire you as much as we can through the teaching that we give to you. And if I might see someone in the spirit world, but I have from time to time, I probably would, unless it was really important, I probably would ignore them, because they're welcome to come and they're welcome to listen and they're welcome to participate. And in fact, one of my students, I know that her son is very involved in the classes and loves to be in the classes, but that doesn't mean I'm going to talk to him every time we have a class. Hope that helps you. Right, next.
Sharon is on.
Good morning, Sharon.
She says, after you do a consultation with a client and give them a message, have you ever had their loved one hang around with you for a while afterwards, or do they leave when the client does?
Occasionally it happens that they might want to, chat for a bit, but generally speaking, they come because the person I'm giving the consultation to is there. They come for them, they come to talk to them. They're only interested in me because I am the conduit, that the path to their loved ones, as that should be. They shouldn't particularly be interested in me, but sometimes they, occasionally I've had someone stay to ask a question or to be reassured. Do we think that was okay? Did I do okay? Because a lot of people who come through from the spirit world are very nervous initially, because it is a big thing for them to do. And but that usually they, as soon as we're done and as soon as I open the door and say, okay, off you go now, we're done, they leave. They I can say bye bye to everybody. Let's have a next question.
Harish is still on, and he said, thank you, Rosemary, but he meant uniting in heaven. What if I am there, but my son's soul has moved on to another body in life?
Oh, I see. All right. I don't think that would happen. Why wouldn't I think that would happen? Hang on a minute. Let me think about this. I would think that unless for some reason your son decided almost immediately that he was going to, move on or go to another plane or what have you, I would and not want to connect with you. I would think that it is the love It is the joy. It is the energy that you shared which holds you together. Um, it is that which, even if he travels, even if he goes exploring, even if he goes off into, other universes, or if he wants to explore different things, when he hears you calling him, or when he connects with your energy, because it's the energy that ties you together and connects you, and it's that energy of love and caring. He, you know, time in the spirit world is completely different than time as we know it here. It it's it's faster in so many ways. For instance, you wonder sometimes, how can a person in the spirit world be in two places at once? For instance, if I saw my father and then 10 minutes later my daughter called me and said, I've just seen silly grandpa, how can that be? Because if he's here with me, how can he be there with her? But it's the energy and the speed of light that people are able to move through that is hard for us to understand. But uh, trust me when I see, no reason to trust me, but trust me when I say, Harish, that your son is right there. He's going nowhere without you. So let's, I hope that helps. But let's have another question or a comment.
Deborah said,
Deborah, good morning again.
I have seen balls of light in dark shapes in my home, and I often hear random noises.
Oh.
My pets also alert seemingly for no reason. Can can you see who might be in my home? This has been going on for years.
No, not right now, because we're answering people's questions, and it would take a while for me to do that. But I had a dog years ago that used to freak everyone out. His name was Karma. He was a spaniel. He was lovely. He was cross-eyed. He stank to high heaven. He had a real body odor. Couldn't help it. But I loved him and I cuddled him despite his being smelly and being cross-eyed and all the rest of it. He was just gorgeous. He was a lovely puppy. But very often especially during class, we would all be sitting there. It would be sort of, the lights it wouldn't be dark, but the lights would be dimmer. And we'd be sitting there, and maybe I'd be asking my students to meditate, or we'd be doing some healing or some healing exercises or something. All of a sudden, the puppy would sit up, like in the middle of the room, and then he'd sort of sit up and everybody look at him, and then all of a sudden he'd swing his head right into the corner and stare at something in the corner that only he could see. Even I couldn't see what he was staring at. And then, then he'd be staring at that from me, and all of a sudden his head would swing and it would go into that corner. I always felt that whoever it was that he saw, it was quite benign, it was quite friendly. Maybe someone in the spirit world come to join us in our healing meditations or something. I don't know. But Deborah, this is great, right? I think it's great. Trust your puppies, because they know and they see. Trust just the energy of your puppies. Let's have another one.
Maggie would like to know if
Yes.
you and Grey Eagle bicker. She said she'd love to sit in on that.
No, actually. He's putting his hand on my shoulder. I'm not a bickerer, actually. I'm wondering, as I'm saying that, I'm wondering if Grey Eagle might argue with that, or I'm wondering if my daughter might argue with that. But I'm not a bickerer. I don't really bicker. I say what I feel. I say it outright. Do I bicker? We don't bicker in here, do we?
I would say we cackle, but I wouldn't say we bicker.
Well, bickering is like picking at each other and having little arguments with each other that don't mean anything at all. But I don't.
No, I think we cackle a lot, though.
Cackle meaning laugh.
Laughing, kind of
We
laughing
laugh.
at each other,
We
know,
do
like that stuff.
yeah, and Grey Eagle and I do that. We're doing that even as I'm speaking. We're laughing about that, but no, we don't bicker. So sorry. Very funny question. All right.
Harish said, thank you, Rosemary. You always comfort and help me spiritually.
I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Sharon said when
I just do want to say that, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, I don't know that it's Grey Eagle's opinion. He's putting his hand on my shoulder again. We're laughing. Are we bickering now? Um, in my opinion, the loss of a child, whether that child is 2, 22, 52, however old that child is, we as parents, we always expect to live, for our children to live, longer than us. We help them to grow, we nurture them, we teach them, we try to teach them how to live their lives positively. In many ways, I think I've tried to teach my child to, to be independent and to be able to stand on her own 2 feet when I'm not here, because she and I have a very, very close relationship, and I know that she will have a tremendously difficult time when I'm gone, but I like to think that I've helped her to understand that she can do it, that I'm not far away from her, that she can do it. So as parents, we always try to guide and steer our children so that when we're not here anymore, or when we're not able to help them or to nurture them anymore, that they're able to do these things for themselves. None of us as parents expect or desire in any way to lose our child. The loss of a child has to be, in my opinion, only in my opinion, the worst kind of loss. I do not know how parents deal with these things. I always feel somehow a parent finds courage, they find the bravery to get up in the morning, to to get on with their lives the best they can. But I find that it's such a hard thing for people to be able to do. And so, like Harish and like many others of you who are listening who have lost your children, if I can help in any way, inspire you in any way, or somehow help you to learn to live with this, because you never get over it, but you learn to live with it, then I'm willing to do all that I can to help you. So just want to put that out there to all of you, and to you, Harish, particularly. All right, sorry. Now you were saying that.
Sharon said
Sharon.
that when her son was a baby, he would suddenly look at something and she couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And would smile and laugh, and she thinks that babies and animals are so connected to the spirit world.
Absolutely. My daughter used to do the same thing. My grandson did the same thing. Isn't it fascinating when we realize that we watch them and they can absolutely see something going on? You can see their faces become animated, their eyes are, focused and paying attention, and you know that they can see things that we can't see. So, as I've said, I don't really get why people don't want to understand, because I think it's not wanting to, rather than really believing that there is nothing beyond this earth plane. How, if you're paying attention to the world and you're paying attention to your children and your animals, if you're paying attention to the universe, if you open your eyes and look out of your window, you know perfectly well that what you see is not all that there is to see. It's mind-boggling to me that people actually deny the existence of something, or the possibility of something more. Next question or comment.
Mary said that she got to, last week she was able to volunteer and help with the Salvation Army to put emergency boxes for people in disasters. And that she says, thank you always for all your healing.
I love the Sally Army. They are the best. If anybody out there would like to volunteer, if anyone out there feels that, perhaps they've got a little bit of time and they might want to share that time with others, I would always, without a doubt, direct them to the Salvation Army, or to a place like St. Jude's Hospital, where, people take care of the children there who are sick. There are so many things that we can do, but the Salvation Army never lets me down. They never let me down. They are brilliant. And the thing I love about the Salvation Army, most of all is that you don't go there and get a lecture from them. It's not like a priest or a minister who's, uh, you know, did you pray today? As my sister would say every time I saw her, have you prayed today? You don't get any of that from the Salvation Army. They just embrace you. Whatever belief system you believe in is fine by them. Whoever you are, whether you're a drunkard, whether you're a down and out, whether you're whoever you are, they embrace you. And I think that's wonderful about them. So great job there.
Vera
Yes.
says, Rosemary, why is it some spirits don't know that they are dead? Ghost hunters have heard them through the spirit box.
Oh, we've done this before, and I've answered it before, and quite honestly, so I'll be frank now, Vera, shall I? I'll be really, really frank with you. I know that there are ghost hunters out there who do a really fabulous job. I know that, absolutely. I've been with ghost hunters, but they use this machine, they use all of this machinery and so on and so forth, and then they go away and they listen to it all. I am such a skeptical person. I want to be with them when they're listening, when they're tweaking their knobs and their buttons and all the rest of it, because I do not buy the fact that all ghost hunters with their spirit boxes are real. I'm not saying that they're fake, and I don't think all of them are, but I think that rather people can talk themselves into hearing things. They can talk themselves into seeing things. I've got the lawnmower guy coming to the door. I've got Frank there. So, sorry, Michelle. They talk themselves into seeing these things and hearing these things that are not necessarily true. So we're waiting for Michelle. While we're waiting for Michelle, I will tell you that I was invited to go with a group of ghost hunters to the Ringling Museum in Sarasota. And there is a particular room in that museum where I was the person who was going around, and the ghost hunter people with all their machinery and so on and so forth, they were all sort of following me and being directed by me, and they'd got all of these machines going, and sort of every now and again they would look and say, or well, I can hear this, or I can see this. I'm not saying that they were lying. I'm not saying that they were telling the truth either. I'm thinking that, very often your imagination gets the best of you. Just because you're hearing something doesn't mean you really are, or that you might be hearing something, but it might not be what you might think it is, or what you might hope it is. And, for all of their boxes and all of their machinery and all of that stuff, the only person who found anything of any interest that night, not just in my opinion, but in everybody's opinion, even the ghost hunters themselves, the only person who found anything of real interest was myself, because we did actually talk to John Ringling's second wife. This is the first time I've ever mentioned this story, but Michelle had disappeared, so I had to tell you the story about ghost hunters and boxes and all of that. People tweak things. If you're going to record something, it's not necessarily what you think it is. They tweak things. They turn their knobs here and there, and it's a bit like when people take film and cameras. How do you know that it's not been doctored when they take it away? Oh, we're going to take this away and we're going to see, what we can hear and see and so on. And because people are so keen and so really, really keen to discover something, perhaps they are not always tweaking the right button in the right way at the right time. Again, I will reiterate, I'm not saying that all ghost hunters are fake. I think, you can get some really interesting things. You can see some interesting things. But please, would you please be skeptical about it all? Because I'm skeptical when I see things, when I hear things. And the only way that we're going to get to the truth of anything at all is to be skeptical and be able to answer the skepticisms and be able to stand up to the skepticisms. So that's all I'm saying about that. We're not going to do voice boxes anymore. That's it. Right, Michelle.
Terry said that she agrees. The loss of a child is unimaginable, that she's lost her mom, dad, brother, husband. And he says the same. No loss compares, and she appreciates you.
Oh,
She
thank you,
said, you have
darling.
helped me so much through the loss of my child.
Thank you.
Nettie is on.
Yep.
And she said, my grandmother lost 10 of her children before she passed through war,
Oh my
illness.
goodness.
She always said the loss of the children are the worst.
Yeah,
My grandma was very strong and the kindest too.
that's nice. Thank you for sharing that, Nettie.
Um,
It's unimaginable, isn't it? It's unimaginable to think of somebody losing one child. Uh, Very often people lose two or three children, but to lose 10 children, wow, that's more than unimaginable. Yep.
Alina is on.
Lena, good morning.
And she says, with your experience of connecting with the spirit world in Grey Eagle, there too, with you, what book would you suggest one could read that's the closest to the truth about the afterlife?
She's asking me what book?
What book would you read to that gives the most accurate description of the afterlife?
Well, there are books written by so many different people, to be honest, and there are descriptions. I'm trying to think. There was a book written by a young girl who had apparently died and come back to tell us all what the spirit world was like. Here's the deal. To know exactly what the spirit world is like, it's a little bit like, and I think I might have said this on this program before, right? Here I am, I'm sitting here, the telephone is next to me, it rings, I pick it up, and this person says, hi, I'm from Mars. Can you tell me what the world is like? The spirit world is like that, it's like our world. It has different parts, different terrains, different feelings, different types of energy. There are different places and different spaces. So where am I going to begin with the man from Mars? What am I going? I'm going to tell. Well, I can tell you about Florida because here I am. I can tell you about my little piece of Florida, but even then, I can't tell you about all of Florida because every different place in Florida is different. Never mind the world. I've been very fortunate. I've travelled all over the world. I've travelled to over 30 countries, I think, more than maybe. Where do I begin then? Because every country is different. Every person in every country is different. So where can you possibly begin? So if you're looking for a clear and explicit view of what the spirit world is like, I'm going to suggest that you take a look at this world of ours and understand that it's, the spirit world is the same. It's there are variables. Different places have different types of energy and so on. So it's not, you can't just put it in a box and neatly describe it. If you want to know people's experiences about the spirit world and you want a good book on that, the only really good book that I've ever read that really describes people in detail and their opinions and their situations. I'm going to sound like I'm a real big head now, but The Eagle and the Rose is the best book you can ever read because it really does give you insight into people and how they deal with their lives and how they deal with what's going on with their lives. So it gives you an idea of what the spirit world might be like for every story that there is in that book. That's what I would read. There is a book that I would certainly recommend. It was written first of all 40 years a medium, and I think then 10 years later the title changed to 50 years a medium. It's by Estelle Roberts, who has long since departed. But it is an interesting book. Does it actually tell you more of the spirit world, the terrain of the spirit world and so on? No, it doesn't, but it's still a good book to read. So if you've read all of mine and you don't want to read mine, that works for me. It doesn't matter. I mean, your own preferences. But if you are asking me where to start on reading a book about spiritualism, spiritual things going on, and so on, giving you insight, I would start with The Eagle and the Rose. I have no problem. I know it's mine. It is a New York Times bestseller. It has been out for 23 years. It is still going strong. You can still get it in the stores. It is what they call a classic. So not only do I think it's great, I think the world must think it's great as well. So you're not just getting my own opinion here. I don't know if that's helpful to you or not. Let's have another.
She said that she's read some Dr. Brian Weiss, and that
Brian?
she read The Laws of the Spirit World by Khorshid
Right.
Bahavagari.
Yeah. You can get lots of people have got lots of ideas. Here's the deal. I like to talk to people and get, get opinions of people who are actually there rather than my own idea of what it might be or my own, spiritual teachings of what it might be. There's this great hymn, there is a green hill far away. If you think that heaven is like that, that's great for you. But I'm telling you that there are many different aspects, as there are in this world of ours. There are many different aspects to the spirit world as well. So Brian Weiss, of course, is wonderful, but he has no notion of what the spirit world is like, because Brian Weiss is much more about reincarnation and so on. And to my knowledge, has actually never written about the spirit world. I thought the question was about the spirit world.
It was.
And
she's just saying that these are some of the books that she has
great
read.
books. If you really want to read a really brilliant book, although you've got to have a lot of patience in order to read it, because it takes ages, because you read it and it's such a treasure, and it's such a fabulous treasure. There are treasures within this book so many times. You have to stop and go back and read it again to remind yourself of what you just read, so you keep doing that all the time. But this book is probably my all-time, aside from my own books, my all-time personal favorite is Han to Yo. Han to Yo means Here I Come. Han to Yo by Ruth Beebe Hill. Beebe Hill. So Han to Yo. You probably can get it on Amazon. There are library copies that you can sometimes buy. I'm going to suggest, if you want that book, or if you'd like to try and get that book, try for the hard copy, only because it is, to me, it's a gem, and a gem should be read in hard copy, not paperback. And there is another book which is also a brilliant book if you want to read the story of Sacagawea. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how to spell it, but it's Sacagawea. Sacagawea was a Native American woman, and her stories are amazing. I'm just if we're sort of setting up a spiritual library, that's a must. And in Arizona, she is very well known. In fact, I can't remember now which town it is. There's a huge statue of Sacagawea. She was part of the European. When I say European, she was part of what are the two? Of course, my brain has now gone blank. The two explorers, Lewis and Clark. She was part of all of that. And stories about Lewis and Clark are also brilliant too. But Sacagawea was a very spiritual person. She was stolen as a young girl, and her story is fascinating. If you get the book, there are two different endings, because nobody quite knows the honest goodness story of the end of Sacagawea's life. So there are two different endings you can choose from. Moving on. My library is closed for the day. Moving on.
If anybody has any questions about our book or about your books, they can email me and I'll send them in the right direction.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah. And if you're interested in my books or my meditation CDs or whatever else we do, please email who are you? Michelle. Please email Michelle. Well, just email me actually. Just email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Please put in the subject line what the subject of your email is so that we can, sort of make sure they go into the right slot, and that way we can answer you much faster. Right, Michelle, let's have a couple more questions. I know we sort of, the clock is ticking, but anyway, we're going to keep going for a little bit longer.
Deborah would like to know, do we all reincarnate, or do some of us choose to stay on the other side in the spirit world?
Okay, I'm going to refer you, Deborah, to more of these YouTubes. Look back, you'll see that we talk about reincarnation at least 2 or 3 times. That's my opinion. That's all I'm saying about that, because we're in a hurry. So quick, let's get as many little comments or questions in as we possibly can.
Karen wants to know, do you know how to spell the Native woman stories?
I just said, I don't know off the top of my head, Sacagawea. I don't know. I've got it somewhere on my bookshelf.
I think in the schools they teach the kids that it's Sacagawea.
All right, well.
Here anyway. I don't know what they teach you guys over there.
We've got the American accent, we've got the British accent. I'll go with mine and Sacagawea. All you have to do is go to Google and put in a Native American. She was considered a princess. She was in fact the daughter of a chief. Whether that makes her a princess or not, I'm not sure. But her life is fascinating. She was won in a card game. On and on it goes. All these, and she was an amazing woman. Never mind that she was Native American. She was an amazing woman who, because she could speak French, because the husband who, or was never her husband, but anyway, the guy who won her in a game of cards was French, and on the story goes. Look it up in Google. She's really, really well known. You will not, and sort of, if you spell it Sacagawea, there you are. That's the spelling is off the top of my head. No, moving on.
Dean said he may get out a piece of his Christmas cake to eat today.
What?
Might have it with a shot of brandy, and then he went, "Oops, better wait till tomorrow. We have class tonight."
Yeah, don't you be drinking on me, Dean. Is he going to take a piece of Christmas cake out?
He said he thought he might, and then have it with a shot of brandy.
Was it good though? Is what I want to know.
He said it was extremely good.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is really delicious cake. If there's any left of Michelle's Christmas cake when I come back after Christmas,
there will be some left for her.
I've said you've got to save me at least a slice. We shall have it on this show. If you get 2 slices, we shall eat it on this show, Michelle.
Okay.
With I like mine with a glass of sherry, or a piece of Stilton cheese. Yeah, that sounds good too. Let's go.
Sharon said that there was a mini series of Hanta Yo back in the 80s called The Mystic Warrior, and that she's not sure if it's online or not.
All right. Check that out. But the book is amazing. It just takes a lot of patience and persevering, but it's so rich. It's Ruth Beebe Hill wrote that book. It's such a rich book. Yeah.
That's all I got.
And that's it, folks. And that's all. Who's the bunny who does that? That's it, folks. That.
Oh, that was Porky Pig. That's all, folks.
No, not Porky Pig. It was a rabbit. Anyway, it doesn't matter because I'm not that person. So, all right. So
Wendy wants to know if she can come for cake too.
Wendy, you are welcome in my house anytime, and you live in Florida, so move it. I gotta move it. I gotta move it. You can stay in my guest room, and we can definitely have cake. All right, so if you want to know more about me or any of the work that I do, please email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. If you want to know about the conferences that we're going to be having, the workshops that we're going to be doing, we're planning on keeping our fingers crossed. We're going to be hopefully starting those February or March or something.
It'll be closer to the end of February.
Something like that. We're going to try for that. You can put your names on the list already. Again, make sure you put, you want the online conference. And we'll put you in a folder, so when it's time and we know what we're up to and we start with these things, we can send you an email, or simply put yourselves on my email list, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. You must request that we put you on the email list, because we don't do it automatically just because you've emailed us. You have to request it. So please request, please put me on the email list, and in the subject line, email list, okay? So if you want healing, of course, again, email us in the subject line, healing. We will send you healing. We will put you on our healing list, or you can go to my website. We have a healing page, we have a regular page, we have 3 pages actually on the Facebook pages, so you can go there and you can find out what we're doing, what we're up to there. But if you put your name on our email list, you will be notified straight away as to what it is we're doing. But please don't worry, we do not send out emails continually. You know, you're not going to get one every day or twice a day or something like that. We don't do that. You might get 3 or 4 a month or something like that. So
5 or 6 a month.
5 or 6 a month, right? That's okay, but that's all. And it's simply to tell you what we're up to. We will not be having our Everything is Attitude show tomorrow night because Al can't make it. I don't know why, but he can't. But we shall be back next Wednesday with our healing sessions. We shall be back next Thursday with our The Spirit World Sees All, and we shall also have an Everything is Attitude show also next week. So now is the time to get your Christmas cakes done. Now is the time to start planning for Christmas. Now is the time to even think about making your Christmas chocolates, because they do freeze beautifully. And we are going to be making chocolates with Michelle and her girls, and we shall film it probably and put it on YouTube. So start thinking Christmas. I know a lot of you are thinking, but it's not even Thanksgiving yet. But there are a lot of you who don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm one of those who doesn't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving. Nobody invites me anymore. Anyway, all right. So just kidding. And I'm not actually really. Nobody does invite me for Thanksgiving. Isn't that
I invited you for Thanksgiving.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Maybe it's that people do and I just simply forget. Anyway, so get ready for Christmas, because Christmas is my favorite time of the year anyway. Until we see you again, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day, and also please have a fabulous, wonderful, joyful weekend. And now I've got to switch it off, right? And I have no idea how to do it, but if I tap this screen, no, I don't know how to do it. There you are. Come around and help me out. Have a very blessed weekend, everyone.